So you can hear this is a very historic race, because that is the voice of our colleague in the commentary team, Sarah Winkless, who will become the first female umpire of a race at Henley. Many congratulations to Sarah, and I'm sure that she will do a fantastic job. So a historic moment for Henley Regatta.
Go!
What happened there, Mark? That looked to be something that the Molesey crew could take advantage of. A shipwreck from the Sydney crew in blue, Molesey in black.
Yeah, and there's nothing worse than trying to get off the blocks efficiently and clean and have an error or mistake. Somebody at the bow of the crew, a bow or two, caught a crab, flicked the boat across. That's upset them. They're not in their rhythm now. They're not composed. They've got to keep a cool head now. Molesey must take advantage of that and try and get an advantage and try and maintain that for as long as possible.
So there are the Sydney Rowing Club crew. You can see they recovered something of the upset caused on the first 2 or 3 strokes. I mean, it just shows the tension in the crew. Really, you don't want to give your opponents that chance, Mark.
And the problem is with...
Well, we're going to get a replay now. Perhaps you can just talk us through what happens.
Yeah, you can just see that the guy in 2 just caught a crab. Got his blade stuck in the water, couldn't get it out in time, got stuck, and it lurched the boat over to his side. But the problem is that you recover from that, you get a massive rush of adrenaline because you've got to get back on track, and we'll see how that affects them later on.
So there's the Molesey crew. They look very solid, don't they, in their race rhythm. They know they're really up against it, the Molesey Boat Club D crew. And, well, Sydney Rowing Club have recovered. It just shows the quality of this crew, the fact that they come here to win. Of course, Sydney Rowing Club last year won the Britannia Challenge Cup. It was a fantastic crew that won that event. They're an extremely strong crew. And it's a beautiful location, Sydney Rowing Club, up there, upriver of Sydney on the Parramatta River. It was the base for the British team training way back in 1978 when the World Championships were in New Zealand. And we can see the stroke man of the Sydney 8 there, Hamish McDonald, with the beard, distinctive beard. And, well, he's got a fantastic crew. Several athletes who won gold in the under-21 Cox Fours in the Sydney Regatta in, I think, March. Dylan Boakes and Charlie Patterson, well, they raced in the Y-Folds here last year. And Harry Kemp, who's in the middle of the boat, well, he's got the distinguished title of a World Junior Championship rower. So it's a pretty stacked crew. And the Molesey coach, or the head coach at Molesey, Phil Bourguignon, when I said, what about this Sydney crew, Phil? He said, well, they haven't come all this way to come second, so...
Yeah, it's an expensive trip to come across from Australia, but, you know, the one thing, if you do have an error off the blocks, you know, it does give you enough time to correct it and get back on track. Imagine if they'd have caught that crab later on down the track when they were at full speed, that would have more of an effect than it did at the start, because they haven't really picked up momentum yet.
Just a shot there of Sarah Winkless standing up in the bows of the umpire's boat. The first female umpire, of course, the Olympic bronze medalist from Athens in the double sculls with Elise Laverick, or Elise Sherwell now. And it's such a proud moment for Sarah. I was talking to her last night about this moment, and, well, she's got a good job, because the Molesey crew is very competitive. There is Sarah. She's got a very serious look on her face, understandably.
Yeah, well, you know, you don't just become an umpire. There's lots of exams you have to do, committed time to regattas around the kind of country, and kind of work your way up. And to come to Henley, to umpire at Henley, it's you know, it's a proud moment. She's worked for a long time to be here, to be able to do this.
And with her Olympic blazer on, and she hasn't had to use her flag yet, because both crews are steering straight down the middle of the course. And the Molesey crew really haven't led up the whole way. Sydney have got just a little bit of clear water. They will know, the Molesey crew, the men in black. They are on the left of your screen. Behind this superb crew from Sydney. Well, they will be superb if they clean up their blade work. We saw a little crab at the start. I think that might have been the guy in the 6th seat, perhaps Nathan Bowden, whose blade wasn't quite square. We normally expect such distinctive blade work from Sydney crews.
Yeah, and the great thing about the footage we have now is that the whole crew are going to be watching that race, going through what happened. And he's going to be sitting there, debriefing that, looking at it, going, yeah, guys, my hand up, it was my fault.
Yeah. So I think that's probably a Hudson shell they're racing in, the Canadian boat manufacturers, the Sydney Rowing Club crew in white, the Molesey in their normal yellow Empacher, the German boat builders. Molesey looked to me to be rowing well. I think it will probably be Franz Infield, formerly of Durham, who coaches that Molesey crew. Neat and precise in the blade work, Mark.
Yeah, they're moving really well as a unit, actually. They've stuck to their kind of race plan, what they were going to go out and do. And, you know, this is, again, it's about racing at Henley, doing your best race. You can't win everything, but you can go out and do your best performance. So as long as you can hold your head up high, that's something to be proud of.
Absolutely, and Molesey are stacked here in so many boats. Women's junior, men's junior, Club 8. They will have a Molesey Boat Club A in the Thames Cup, which will give this Sydney crew a very close race should the two crews meet later in the competition. And it's the strength of Molesey Boat Club, of course, a performance centre for GB Rowing, Mark.
Yeah, and one of the top athletes in the team at the moment, Molesey, is from Molesey Boat Club. You know, I'm sure he inspires a lot of people at the club coming from that. Andy Triggs-Hodge. So, you know, it is a premier club in the country, and, you know, that's why they have so many people wanting to go there and race and compete under their colours.
Great shot of the paint on the faces. I mean, they're coming down this track. They're probably going under 7 minutes, something around 6:30, 6:40. Slow conditions this morning, headwind, but Stroke driving his crew on the Molesey stroke to try and get contact. It does look pretty comfortable from the Sydney Boat Club crew, doesn't it?
Yeah, once again, they'll be thinking about, you know, they won't be thinking about it yet, but it's about conserving energy. It's a long week of racing, especially if the wind's going to stay like this. It's going to take a lot out of the legs as it goes through the week with this headwind.
I mean, for the Sydney crew, at the last 10 strokes of the finish, I mean, it's probably good they've had something to say, look, we've got to be better than that, boys, for the coach to point to and say, you know, you got that out of the way first thing.
Well, that's it. You always want to progress as the regatta goes on and get better and better. You don't want to do your best performance on day one. So they have a lot to think about with that start and make sure they get it right for next round.
So Sydney Rowing Club, the men in blue, as expected, take that first heat of the Thames Challenge Cup, or the second, actually. We saw a race early this morning from Molesey Boat Club's B crew. Very good race. Initially early on, Molesey did lead, but Sydney rode through them, and you saw confirmation of that result just then.